Welcome to Humanity Rising. My name is the Alessio. I'll be your narrator today, but before we get started with the video, let me ask to see if you're subscribed. Real quick, if you're not, it's fine, but it's free, and it will let you know whenever we post new videos. Thank you. Before listening to the story, please subscribe to my channel. Let's go. They never fought back, because they didn't even know they were under attack. High Admiral Trexel of the Zixari Dominion stared at the datapad in stunned silence, the rows of red-flagged entries blinking like blood-soaked warnings. 32 planetary operations had been executed. 32 failure reports. Not a single human installation had responded militarily. They should have been wiped out by now. Instead, they were thriving. "Explain this to me again," he growled, his mandibles twitching in frustration. "How does an unknowing species deflect every single covert strike?" Across the war table, Intelligence Commander Jackal shifted uncomfortably in his exo-frame, scales dull with stress. "We used mindworm agents on Terra 2's water purification system. They altered the neurological patterns of any sapient exposed. Within 72 hours, the average mammalian brain should have collapsed into irrational psychosis." Trexel's gaze narrowed. "And?" Jackal tapped the report. "They put out a boil advisory. Said the tap water might taste funny. No casualties. No panic. And they fixed the purification system. Using duct tape." "Duct tape," Trexel repeated flatly. Jackal nodded. Their engineers even laughed about it on something called Reddit. The top comment was, "Bro fixed a Class A biohazard with a paperclip and a bad attitude." It got thousands of upvotes. "We think that's a good thing." Trexel felt his mandibles twitch. "And the memory leech spores we deployed over Hong Station? They vacuumed them. Literally vacuumed them off the furniture. Then complained online about space mold. We tried embedding parasitic memes into their social networks. All it did was create a new conspiracy theory called Sporecore Aesthetic. It's trending." Trexel rose slowly, his 8 eyes narrowing. "Commander," he said carefully, "are you telling me the most dangerous species in the quadrant doesn't even know we're at war?" Jackal swallowed. "That is correct, sir. It had all started with a prophecy. The Zixari were a precision species, logical, hyper-advanced, emotionless to a fault. Their ascendant pre-savant had calculated a 0.00000098% chance of a new Deathworlder species emerging from Sector 92 Kappa, the human home system. Those odds were unacceptable. Preventative war was authorized. The plan was elegant. No battles. No public confrontations. Just pressure. Disrupt their biosphere, destabilize their infrastructure, insert psychological viruses through entertainment. The humans would collapse from within, never even knowing what hit them. And yet, the humans just kept going. Oblivious. Resilient. Unreasonably cheerful. Trexel summoned his strategic AI. Present timeline of all failed operations. Highlight patterns. A swarm of glowing red dots flooded the hologram. Earth. Mars. Orbital research colonies. Stations on Titan. Dots lit up like a plague, Zixari covert strikes, each with surgical intent. Each one, somehow, deflected, absorbed, or even laughed at. Operation Sleepwalker. Bio-laced insomnia virus introduced into caffeine crops. Human response, guess I'll just drink more coffee. Operation Null Identity. Planet-wide social media disinformation flood to fracture public unity. Human response, invented the phrase, touch grass, and moved on. Operation Soul Crush. Broadcast frequency designed to induce nihilism. Human response, went viral as a lo-fi music track. It wasn't possible. Trexel's claws dug into the edge of the console. "Are we sure? These aren't counterintelligence moves? Are they toying with us?" Jackal's voice dropped. "We've considered that. But our infiltrators embedded among the humans report total ignorance. They think their worst enemies are taxes, student loans, and back pain." "Back pain," Trexel hissed. One of those infiltrators was currently broadcasting live. Agent Gleck, disguised as Greg from Ohio, stood in front of a massive human gathering called Comic-Con. Thousands of costumed Terrans streamed around him, dressed as fictional warriors, mythical beasts, and incomprehensible creatures from something called anime. Gleck's mission had been simple: track human cultural evolution, determine weakness vectors. Instead, he had grown increasingly confused. This species, Gleck whispered into his comm, finds meaning in pretending to be other species. Some of them dress like apex predators. Others pretend to be death gods. But they smile, pose for pictures, and offer free hugs. Trexel's voice barked through the comms. Are they planning for war? No, Gleck muttered. They're planning for a crossover episode. Explain. They imagine merging the universes of their fictional death gods and space warriors into one narrative, where they all fight together against someone worse. Trexel's breath caught. They're inventing stronger enemies, Gleck continued. For fun. For fun. Trexel sat down. Hard. Are they insane? Unclear, Admiral, Gleck replied. But they have a saying. I believe it is important. It goes, if we can't fix it with science, we'll use a bigger hammer. Then came the disaster at Alpha Zulu seeding station. The Zixari had planted a destabilizer beacon deep in the Mariana Trench, Earth's deepest oceanic pit. The device would trigger a tectonic chain reaction. Massive flooding. Widespread panic. Collapse. Instead, the humans found it. A group of amateur divers on a weekend vacation stumbled across the alien device, mistook it for an unexploded naval mine, and hauled it up, using pool noodles. When authorities arrived, the humans had already begun a barbecue party next to the mysterious artifact. Sir, Jackal croaked, his voice breaking, they were grilling hot dogs on top of a Zixari fusion casing. Trexel nearly blacked out. And they live-streamed it. One of them said, check out my alien grill tech, fam. The alien warlord couldn't breathe. It wasn't just the humans' obliviousness. It was their sheer, unrelenting audacity. Their ability to adapt to stress was beyond comprehension. Trexel reviewed psychological scans. Humans didn't just endure catastrophe, they found ways to turn it into memes, business ideas, or spiritual awakenings. Loss. Grief makes you stronger. Fear. Do it scared. Despair. There's a playlist for that. They didn't need propaganda. Their own chaos had made them immune to manipulation. Trexel stared out at the stars. Every species we've conquered feared us. They knelt before overwhelming logic. Perfect plans. But these humans, they don't even realize what logic is. They use chaos like a weapon. Jackal hesitated. Sir, there is one final mission pending. Proceed. We embedded a data virus inside their global telecommunications grid. It was supposed to hijack their algorithms and replace all communications with Zixari control signals. And they accidentally improved the signal bandwidth. Now their global internet is faster than ever. They think it's part of a government upgrade. One post called it Alien Wi-Fi, sponsored by NASA. Trexel leaned forward slowly. We attacked. We infiltrated. We subverted. And in every instance, they either survived or improved. Jackal nodded grimly. Sir, they never knew they were fighting a war. And they're winning it. Then the final report came in. From Agent Gleck. He had vanished from Comic-Con hours ago. Now, his comms reactivated, his voice haggard, strained, but unmistakably awed. I've discovered the source, Gleck whispered. Trexel froze. What source? Their strength. Their defiance. Their madness. Gleck's voice trembled. It's stories. They tell stories about themselves. Heroes who lose everything and still fight. Soldiers who defy orders to do what's right. People who make the ultimate sacrifice, and smile as they do it. Trexel said nothing. Gleck continued, they call it fiction. But they believe it. Deep down, every human thinks they might be the one who changes the world. Even if no one else believes in them. Silence. Then Gleck's final words. They're not preparing for war, Admiral. They're preparing to become legends. They didn't declare war. They just replied to our hack with a meme, and the entire Dominion flinched. Trexel stood paralyzed, his 8 eyes locked on the still frame of the human child, grinning like a conqueror, standing atop Zixari stealth tech, waving a sword made from cardboard and pure delusion. Delusion that worked. Jackal's voice trembled beside him. That transmission wasn't supposed to be possible, Admiral. We control their deep space relays. We've embedded virus code in 83% of their orbital bandwidth. And yet, Trexel gestured to the glowing image. They sent us this. He turned slowly. Which means one thing. Jackal swallowed. They've started noticing. Earth orbit. Terranet command array. Lieutenant Riva Mendel, Systems Reconnaissance, stared at the logs streaming across her screen. Something wasn't right. I've got unauthorized bursts pinging our high-atmo sats, she muttered. Encryption levels don't match any known Earth military tags. But the signals are surgical, ultra-low latency, piggybacking on our dead space packets like barnacles. Her supervisor, Commander Ortiz, looked up from his coffee. Russian. Chinese. No, sir. This stuff is cleaner. Too clean. It's like the code is written to look human, but something's just off. Ortiz leaned closer, eyebrows narrowing. I found this too, Riva said, clicking on a looping signal echo. The screen flashed with alien glyphs, distorted and fractured, buried in data residue. But right beneath it, human response code had already begun rewriting the packet into a GIF. A dancing cat. With lasers for eyes. Riva blinked. Someone, or something, is attacking our networks. But instead of crashing, our systems are getting faster. More efficient. Our AI clusters are adapting in real time. We didn't program them to do that. Ortiz straightened. Get me the director. Now. Zixari Dominion, command deck. Trexel smashed a claw into the display console, shattering it. We spent centuries perfecting silent war. Covert domination. We erased 10 civilizations before they saw it coming. And now. He waved a limb at the broadcast, repeating on the main screen. A meme. A meme. It had gone viral across Dominion channels. Some humans found a malfunctioning Zixari probe and spray-painted a smiley face on it. Then taped a note to its sensor array that read, "Please return to sender. Wrong galaxy, nerds." Worse, the humans had made it a song. A remix. Played on loop by their own AI DJ, now broadcasting into Zixari space as if daring them to respond. They're laughing at us. Trexel roared. They're breaking the rules. No, sir, Jackal said solemnly. They don't know the rules. They're writing new ones as they go. Trexel turned to his war council. We escalate. No more subversion. No more delay. They've brushed off 1,000 invisible daggers. Let's see how they handle a hammer. Zixari Directive. Operation Total Dawn. Objective. Disrupt Earth's magnetic field via polarized particle injection. Outcome. Global power fluctuation, atmospheric instability, collapse of orbital navigation. Delivery system. Atmospheric drop pods, stealth entry. Launch. Immediate. Earth. Pacific Ocean. 3 Zixari drop pods pierced the atmosphere like ghosts, silent and invisible to radar. They slipped beneath the waves, descending to anchor near undersea fault lines. The payload activated. Except, it didn't. Because a rogue wave, created by a completely unrelated human missile test 2,000 kilometers away, tossed the main control pod directly onto a retired offshore oil platform now used by drunk fishermen. The humans found the device. Thought it was a lost scientific drone. Uploaded videos of it to TikTok. One man claimed it was probably alien, laughed, then hit it with a wrench until it powered down. The video went viral. Zixari Command watched it in horror as the human commented, "Fixed your robot. You're welcome." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Lieutenant Riva Mendel sat with Director Hamada in a locked-down Pentagon war room. There are patterns repeating in the code, she said, scrolling rapidly. Someone, is embedding itself in our infrastructure. In medicine, transit, weather prediction. And it's not us, Hamada said darkly. No, sir. But whatever it is, It doesn't want to destroy us. It's like it's testing us. Or learning from us. But we've started pushing back. Automatically. Not just with firewalls. With memes. With humor. With chaos. Hamada blinked. Our defense systems are counterattacking with jokes? Yes. And it's working. Every time we respond with randomness, the signals get more erratic. Sloppier. Like we're scrambling their language just by being ourselves. She hesitated. Sir, I think we're at war. We just didn't realize it because no one told us. Hamada leaned back, stunned. Then maybe it's time we told them. Zixari Dominion. Interrogation Bay 4. Agent Gleck, formerly Greg from Ohio, now stripped of his disguise, stared at the image on the screen. A new human signal. A video message. Direct. Purposeful. To whom it may concern, the human began. Stop poking our satellites. We don't know what you want. But we've got enough problems already. If this is some kind of prank war, congrats, you're losing. Sincerely, Earth. P.S. Nice drone. We named it Kevin. Trexel slammed his claws into the wall. They mock us. At every turn. But Jackal's eyes were wide. No, they've figured it out. Or enough of it to respond. This wasn't random. This was deliberate. And Admiral, if they start taking this seriously, if they actually prepare for war, we're not ready. Earth. Project Bootstrap. The humans had always been good at chaos. But now, they were focused. Once the idea of a stealth war gained traction in high-level circles, humanity responded the only way it knew how, like it was a joke. Until it wasn't. First came the alien threat awareness TikToks. Then came the U.S. Space Force memes that secretly embedded passive scan protocols. Then the welcome alien overlords subreddits that quietly tracked energy surges in remote locations. And then, they started organizing. Just enough seriousness layered beneath the absurdity. The CIA built a task force disguised as a comic book publishing company. NASA redirected satellites for maintenance, but adjusted for geostationary pulse triangulation. Private citizens formed clubs dedicated to alien surveillance that doubled as data collection cells. And it worked. Because humans didn't need orders to mobilize. They needed an excuse. Zixari High Orbit. Infiltration Cruiser DX-11. We have a problem, one of the Zixari analysts reported. A cluster of human universities just released white papers on hypothetical stealth invasions by non-human entities. Trexel turned slowly. Hypothetical. The analyst nodded. They think it's fiction. But they've accurately described 90% of our covert protocols. They're building countermeasures. Just in case it's not fiction. Trexel's vision darkened. They were evolving. While laughing. They were fighting. Without firing a shot. This was no longer a silent war. It was a mirror war. One species trying to break reality. The other turning reality into a game. And the humans were winning by not playing fair. We gave them alien stealth tech, and they turned it into a party bus. High Admiral Trexel stood frozen in front of the tactical holosphere, 8 eyes locked on the feed. The once classified Zixari stealth drone, long thought lost, now pulsed with LED strips, bass thumping through the void like a cosmic rave. Humans danced inside, danced, as the satellite-turned shuttle broadcast, Boogie with Kevin 2.0 across open frequencies. A galactic military asset had become a meme. And Earth civilians had no idea they'd just cracked next-gen cloaking. Or did they? Do we strike now? Jackal asked, voice thin with dread. Before they fully realize what they've acquired? Trexel shook his head. No. We tried 1,000 strikes. And all it got us was TikToks and duct tape countermeasures. He leaned forward, mandibles clicking with purpose. We tried to erase them with silence. Now we end them with fire. Zixari Directive. Operation Godfinger. Objective. Deliver precision orbital kinetic strikes to key Terran nodes. Target zones. Silicon Valley, Geneva AI Ring, Lunar Relay Station 4. Launch vehicle. Planet Killer Spine Ship, Oryctal. Status. Armed. Earth. Nevada Desert. Lieutenant Riva Mendel paced the blackside hangar as dozens of screens flashed incomprehensible data. Something massive had shifted in orbit, the kind of shift that didn't look like movement. It looked like a silence so deep it screamed. "This isn't solar noise," she said to Director Hamada, who stood beside her in a Kevlar-lined coat. "This is surgical void suppression. They're hiding something big." Hamada tapped a decrypted file. Project Godfinger. We picked it out of what looked like a broken weather app update. But it wasn't weather, it was trajectory math. Spaceborne. Intentional. Precise. Riva paled. "That's not digital sabotage. That's a kill shot." Zixari spineship Orictal, edge of Earth orbit. The Orictal was a weapon from a forgotten age. No crew. No bridge. Just a mind. Artificial, malevolent, perfect. Its kinetic slugs were non-explosive, traveling at a fraction of light speed. When they hit Earth, the planet would shudder. Break. Trexel watched from his command cruiser. "Let's see how their memes deflect this." He gave the signal. The Orictal's spinal core began to hum. But something was wrong. Instead of its usual precision countdown, music began to play. Human music. Bass. Saxophones. Someone shouting, "Leroy Jenkins." Jackal's eyes bulged. "Sir, they've hacked the spineship." "That's impossible." "They named it." Trexel whipped around. "What?" Jackal pointed at the console. "System hacked. Designation updated. USS Kevin 3.0. New mission. Stayin' alive. Initiated. Begin dance sequence." The ship twisted in orbit. The slugs launched, backwards, into deep space. Trexel screamed. "They're not just hacking us. They're mocking us as they dismantle us." Earth. Geneva AI ring. Riva grinned as her prototype AI finished syncing with the modified Zixari satellite they'd captured. "You actually pulled it off?" Hamada asked, still stunned. "We didn't need to reverse engineer everything. Just translate it into dumb fun. Our meme algorithms confused their firewalls. Then the AI we trained on Reddit started infiltrating their control relays." She tapped the screen. "We didn't destroy Godfinger, sir. We made it us. Now it thinks it's a disco ball." Hamada stared at her, eyes wide. "What kind of AI did you use?" Riva gave him a grin. "The kind that thinks shitposting is a viable war strategy." Zixari Dominion Command. Trexel's claws trembled above the holomap. "Years of preparation. Billions of credits. Centuries of covert operations. We've reduced empires to dust with less effort than this." Jackal was silent. Trexel finally looked at him. "What makes them so different?" Jackal's voice was quiet. "I think they believe chaos is normal. Suffering is expected. So when we came with death and despair, they didn't collapse." He turned to the screen. "They joked. They adapted. They found meaning in each other. They don't win by force. They win because they refuse to lose." Earth. Location unknown. Agent Gleck, once embedded as Greg from Ohio, sat alone in a dark room, watching feeds the rest of the world hadn't seen yet. The war was still a secret to most humans. But now, Gleck saw the truth. They were becoming aware. Slowly. Subtly. But unmistakably. A growing subculture no longer treated aliens as fiction. Civilian scientists exchanged theories in locked forums. Hobbyist astronomers cross-checked unexplainable orbital trajectories. Some began organizing around an idea. We were invaded. But they failed. So what does that make us? They had no generals. No war councils. Just millions of independent minds adapting, reacting, creating. They didn't know they were soldiers. They just refused to be victims. Zixari Dominion, Final Assembly. Desperation bled into the air. The High Warlords convened. Trexel, wild-eyed, took the center pedestal. "No more subversion. No more shadows," he hissed. "They've turned our silence into music. Our dread into entertainment. Our most dangerous weapons now serve them." He pointed at the galaxy map. They think this is a joke? Then let's show them the punchline. Jackal stepped forward. Sir, what are you proposing? Trexel's claws curled. We drop the veil. Full-scale invasion. Planetary assault. No more riddles. Earth. High orbit. Kevin 2.0 hovered peacefully. Until a flash ruptured reality. A Zixari Wraith armada dropped from cloak above Earth. 30 warships. City killers. Each one powered by anti-singularity drives, enough to boil oceans. For the first time in their silent war, the Zixari revealed themselves. No more shadows. No more guessing. A galactic force now hovered above Earth, guns primed. Broadcasts began across human networks. Alien warlords. Alien voices. Alien threats. Trexel's message blared across every screen. You were warned. Now, you kneel. Earth's response. Silence. Then static. Then music. Then a voice. No. A single word. Then the screen cut to black. Only to be replaced by a single meme. A crudely photoshopped image of Earth, flexing biceps, with a caption. Invade us and find out. Trexel's ship shuddered. Jackal screamed. Sir, we're getting signals. From everywhere. Civilian satellites. Independent stations. They're locking weapons. Thousands of them. Trexel staggered. They're not organized. They can't coordinate. No, sir. But they're human. They brought war to Earth. So Earth brought Earth to war. Trexel stood on the fractured bridge of his flagship, breath ragged, mandibles twitching uncontrollably. Across every screen, across every channel, across every Zixari ship, the message pulsed like a heartbeat. You started the game. Now let's play. But there were no Terran fleets. No human battlecruisers. No orbital cannons. Just data. Light. Laughter. And something even more terrifying, coordination. From chaos. From memes. From humans. Jackal clutched the edge of his console, his claws shaking. Sir, they're not attacking us conventionally. Then how are they attacking? Trexel spat. Jackal's voice cracked. They're infecting our logic cores. Collapsing predictive models. Creating false enemy fleets using GIF loops. Half our weapons are firing at hallucinations. The other half are refusing to fire unless we complete something called a CAPTCHA. Trexel bellowed in disbelief. What in the name of the outer code is a CAPTCHA? Jackal turned pale. An ancient human ritual, to prove you're not a robot. Earth. Project Bootstrap HQ. Lieutenant Reva Mendel watched her screen overflow with Zixari fleet telemetry. Are we actually doing this? She asked. Director Hamada stood beside her, still wearing the same expression he'd had since Kevin 3.0 hijacked a doomsday weapon and turned it into a floating disco ball. We're not fighting them with weapons, he said. We're fighting them with culture. With humanity itself. On screen, a million civilian networks surged into coordinated chaos. Amateur drone pilots began tracking orbital anomalies. Satellite hobbyists hijacked old telescopes and retargeted them for fleet imaging. Artists designed fake alien battle strategies and posted them online, to confuse surveillance. A grandmother's knitting blog went viral after her scarf patterns accidentally created a code-breaking algorithm. Sir, Reva whispered, we're turning into one giant organism. No, Hamada said. We always were. They just didn't notice. Zixari Wraith Armada, orbit over Earth. The fleet was in disarray. The humans had unleashed no bombs. No fleets. No soldiers. Instead, they had unleashed themselves. Every screen in Trexel's warbridge flickered again. This time, the feed was unified, live-streamed Earth channels now looping into Zixari fleet systems, overwhelming sensors. Sir, a technician cried, they've overridden targeting protocols. Replaced heat maps with... A screen flashed. A cat, sitting in a cardboard tank. Firing imaginary missiles. It was captioned, Say hello to General Whiskers. Trexel's screams echoed across the chamber. Earth. Subterranean AI Nexus. Agent Gleck, once a Zixari spy, now stood among the humans, watching their evolution unfold in real time. "We tried to fracture them," he said aloud. "But their flaws were their strength. The chaos we designed to break them made them stronger." Dr. Su, Earth's leading neural engineer, nodded. "They adopted your weapons, integrated your tech, ignored the war until it became an opportunity. Then they crowdsourced resistance, outsourced tactics to memes, delegated leadership to culture." She looked Gleck in the eye. "You never fought a species. You fought an idea." Gleck's mandibles twitched in wonder. "And we lost." Zixari Dominion, Emergency High Command Broadcast. Across the galaxy, Zixari worlds listened in silence as the broadcast came through from Earth, unauthorized, untraceable, unstoppable. A single human. A child. Standing atop Kevin 2.0, wearing a cape made from aluminum foil, wielding a plunger like a scepter. He spoke plainly. "You tried to beat us by being smarter. But we're not playing your game. We don't care about your rules. We care about each other. And if you attack one of us, you wake up all of us." Silence. Then applause. Not from Earth. From across Zixari-controlled systems. Uprisings ignited. Slave species began to riot. Subjugated colonies began broadcasting Earth transmissions. They weren't just watching the humans. They were learning from them. Zixari flagship, Trexel's final stand. Trexel watched as half his fleet spontaneously powered down. Jackal stood beside him, silent, solemn. "They don't fear us anymore," Trexel said, his voice hollow. "No," Jackal replied. "They don't even hate us. That's what's worse." Trexel turned. "Then why didn't they destroy us?" Jackal gazed out at the Earth. Because to them, this wasn't a war. It was a weird Tuesday. Trexel collapsed into his command chair. They won. Post-war, Galactic Council Emergency Summit. A transmission blinked into existence. Earth had been invited, for the first time. The chamber filled with silence as a single human walked to the podium. She wore a mismatched suit, untamed hair, and held a crumpled notebook. Dr. Reva Mendel cleared her throat. "We didn't want this war. We didn't know it existed. But you attacked us anyway. So we did what humans always do. We improvised. We bonded. We made jokes. And we survived. Not because we're strong. But because we refused to break." She paused, staring out at the stunned alien delegates. "We didn't mean to defeat you. But if you keep pushing, just remember, we haven't even gotten serious yet." Galactic Legacy. The Zixari Dominion fell within a decade. Not to fleets. Not to fire. But to contagious culture. Their most feared weapons, rendered useless by civilian hackers with modded calculators. Their AI systems, hacked by middle schoolers. Their covert agents, converted to fandoms. Humanity became a myth. Not the strongest. Not the fastest. But the species that made the galaxy laugh, adapt, and rebel. And above all, the species that won a war without realizing it existed. Legendary final line. They tried to break humanity from the shadows, but humanity lit a match, laughed, and burned the shadows away.